And that is launched out to deep left field. Big fly for Mike Trout, 1-0 Halos. This is the ground ball to second base. Renhefel falls down, picks it up, fires the first. The Angels have no hit. The Seattle Mariners. That is drilled out to left field. The Angels are going to have a 1-0 lead. Anthony Rendon with a big fly, his third.
Hey guys, I'm Alex Curry.
This is Joe Adell here with the Los Angeles Angels.
Brendan Marsh.
This is Chris Rodriguez.
And you're listening to the All Angels Podcast.
And welcome to another edition of the All Angels Podcast, coming to you live Sunday night. Again, we are live streaming this on our Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. So anytime you want to join in on the conversation, follow us on our social media, Halo_Haven, and we will post when we're going to do the live stream. So if you have any questions, you can do it directly from any of those three social media networks. Again, that's Facebook, YouTube, or Twitter. So a 4-game series with Seattle. High expectations, at least for myself, coming into this series with Seattle. Angels playing some good ball against Oakland and San Francisco. You know, Seattle kind of struggling a little bit. You were hoping to get 3 out of the 4. They end up splitting the game, splitting the series. So let's kind of review a little bit what happened this 4-game series, again, with Seattle in town at the Big A. First game was Thursday. Angels were up early with a Justin Upton home run in the second and then 2 batters later, Jared Walsh also hits a home run. So those 2 guys, Walsh and Upton, seem to be, I guess more so Upton right now, either an all or nothing type of guy. You've seen that throughout this series that it does seem like he hits quite a bit of home runs in that leadoff spot, but he also seems like he strikes out quite a bit in that leadoff spot. And Sut and Gooby actually talked about a little bit about it today on the Sunday game about this. That's just who he is. For every good thing he does as far as hit home runs or maybe a double or something like that, there's going to be 1 or 2 strikeouts. And I think at this point in Upton's career, that is exactly who he is. And that's exactly who the Angels should expect to see at the plate every single time, kind of an all or nothing type of guy. But like I mentioned, he gets him and Jared Walsh 2 individual solo shots. Longarius was in the middle. Otherwise, it would have been back-to-back. And we've seen that a couple of times with those 2 guys especially. But either way you look at it, Angels are up 2-0. Griffin Canning took the mound. One of those young pitchers we have been talking about for a while as far as, you know, needs some time, needs to develop, needs to kind of sooner or later turn a corner. But he is still just 25 years old, and it's still a lot of time for him to develop. But you're always looking at each start as a possible step forward for Canning, for Suarez, for Berea, for Patrick Sandoval. You're always looking for those guys to take the next step, even if it's a baby step. Still looking for them to take the next step. And with Griffin Canning on the mound, he got into some trouble in the middle of the game in the 4th inning. He ended up giving up a run, and they gave up a 3-run home run to make it 4-2 Seattle. And that's all he had. That's all they gave him to work on was that 4th inning. He ends up going 3 1/3, 6 hits, 4 earned runs. The Mariners would add on some more in the 6th and the 7th to make it 6-2. And that's how that game ended on Thursday, 6-2. Another part of this too is the offense. When we first started talking about this team earlier in the year, we kind of mentioned that we thought the offense was going to have to be the part of the team that really carries the Angels. And granted, Mike Trout's not there, so the lineup has not been exactly what you expect. But pretty much everyone else in that lineup is now healthy. You see Rendon after his slow start. We kind of mentioned it last time when they played San Francisco in his 5 RBI game. But since then, he's been slowly warming up, getting hits, getting doubles. Like I mentioned with Upton, he's kind of an all or nothing kind of guy right now. Walsh is staying consistent. Fletcher is becoming Fletcher that we knew last year, hoping that kind of sticks around. But at the same time, they are still struggling, it seems, in key situations. And that's no different in this game where they went 0 for 4 with runners in scoring position and 7 left on base. So not exactly the winning formula when it comes to winning games is guys left on base and not hitting well with runners in scoring position, because I think a lot of times the Angels are not purposely, but it just seems to happen that way. A lot of their home runs are with no one on base. And again, it happened this game with Walsh and Upton, both solo shots. So, if one guy's on base ahead of those guys or two, it can flip this whole thing around. But something that has been a constant struggle and a constant frustration, I think, for fans, especially, is the inconsistency of the offense, of the lineup, of certain players in the lineup. Like we mentioned, Trout has been out of the walking boot, was seen kind of hanging around batting practice around Angel Stadium this weekend. Came out this weekend, Matt, and say there is no timetable set for Mike's return, but he did say it's more than likely going to be after the All-Star break. So you're looking at late July, maybe mid-July at best, but you have to hope as Angel fans, you're still kind of going to be somewhat in the hunt, somewhat in the area where you can still make a strike. And with these 4 games against Seattle, I think it would have been a perfect opportunity to do that. Now, we'll talk about a little bit later about the upcoming schedule, but you have Kansas City coming into town for a 3-game series against the Angels before they hit the road. But another team that started off really hot in the beginning of the year, and we saw them earlier in the year, Sandoval, Carlos Perez absolutely killed us offensively with his bat. Old man still getting it done. So they come to town. They've been struggling. So you have to hope the Angels are able to take advantage of that team coming into town. That's a 3-game series again at Angel Stadium starting Monday. So we go to Friday again. You're hoping to take 3 out of 4. For that to happen now, you have to pretty much sweep the last 3, the last part of the weekend. And this was Ohtani Friday again. Ohtani does historical stuff. It seems every single time he pitches or every single time he picks up a bat and hits a home run. It's the first time since this. It's the first time since that. For Angel fans, I think we really enjoy it. We love hearing about it. I just wonder about the national media, the national fans, when their timelines are getting flooded with Ohtani stuff. But Ohtani takes the mound on Friday. And again, his biggest thing with Ohtani, and it was no different in this game, is the first inning. Getting through unscathed, getting through with a good pitch count. Well, in this outing, he ends up giving a home run on the second pitch of the game to J.P. Crawford, who was absolutely killing the Angels this weekend, and glad to see him go. But he gets the Mariners on the board quick with a 1-0 home run shot in the first inning. In the third, the Mariners would go on to play a little old school ball off of Ohtani. They would end up getting a leadoff double, going sack bunt, and then sack fly to score another run. So now they're 2 up in the third. But when they come up to bat at the bottom of the third, a guy that we just got done talking to about, Justin Upton, does this.
Justin Upton, high fly ball, deep left field, gone! Did you, J.M.? Did you?
Don't give it to you, 'cause Uptown Funk don't give it to you.
So obviously Justin Upton, that time with a man on base, hits a 2-run home run, ties the game 2-2. Again, that's in the third. Well, in the fourth inning, the very next inning, local boy Jose Rojas was able to take advantage.
Jose Rojas, here's the 1-1, lifted in the air, hit pretty well out into right center field. That ball's going deep out into right center field, and that one is out of here. And that will give the Angels the lead. It's now 3-2.
So obviously a 3-2 lead for the Angels. Home run. That, we call it a cheapie home run. If you've been following the Angels long enough and been to Angel Stadium long enough, you do realize that line where it is in right field used to be at the very top of that wall above the out-of-town scoreboard into the stands. That used to be the home runs for years and years and years. And I think 3 or 4 years ago, they moved it to like the midpoint of that wall. Rojas' home runs, just barely clearing it and hitting the out-of-town scoreboard, makes it a home run, benefits the Angels in this time. But I'd be really interested to see, going back, how many times that has benefited the Angels and how many times that's hurt the Angels. Because I know, as Angel fan, there's been countless times where I just feel like, that should have been a double. That should have been, haul them to a triple or something like that when it hits that top part of the wall. But Unfortunately, with the rule change a couple years ago, or the dimension changed a little bit with the home run, those are now home runs, and this time it benefits the Angels again with Jose Rojas' solo shot in the 4th inning to give the Angels the lead 3-2. And pretty much after those first couple innings with Ohtani, he would settle down completely. He would end up going 6 innings, only going up 4 hits, 2 earned runs, 10 strikeouts, and 0 walks. And again, if you've been watching Ohtani long enough, you know that walk number is a huge factor when it comes to his performance out on the mound. There's been times where it seemed like he, struck out 8, but also walked 8 or something along those lines. This time, for him to go 10 strikeouts with no walks is an absolute gem for Ohtani to be pitched this time out. He ended up pitching only 76 pitches, which is kind of eye-raising to me, was kind of odd. The fact that they took him out after that inning. Again, he only went 6 innings. I thought he could have went 7. I thought he could have done more. I think this is one of those situations where it worked out for Madden, luckily, but it could have very easily backfired. And I think the reasons they gave for why Ohtani didn't pitch into the 5th inning were kind of suspect, kind of vague, and I just did not understand it at all. But we'll get to that after this game. So again, Ohtani did a great 6 innings. 7th inning went fine. 8th inning is when it really got dicey, and this when it really got worrisome and then exciting right after. So in the 8th inning, the Angels would get in trouble with Mike Myers. He would give up a double, a single, and a walk, back to back to back. No outs. At this point, again, the Angels hanging on to a 1-run lead. Joe Madden calls in Raisel Iglesias, the closer, to get a 6-out save. And for any fan that's been watching the majority of the games this year, Raisel has kind of been an up and down bullpen arm so far. He has his moments where he looks absolutely untouchable. He has his moments where he looks like he could be one of the top closers in the game. And then there's sometimes, granted, most of those other times are with non-save opportunities, has been getting lit up, getting hit, giving up easy base hits, something that you don't expect from a closer. But this time, coming into the 8th inning, no outs, bases loaded, your team up by 1. He was able to get a quick pop up from the very first guy he faced, and then after that, he does this.
His teammate. Got him! Over the top of a slider. 2 outs.
Got to keep focused. Not through it yet.
The 0-2. Got him outside corner, strike 3! And the bases remain loaded.
So an absolutely huge moment for Iglesias there. Again, going pop out, strikeout to leave the bases loaded, full of Mariners in a 1-run game. Absolutely huge. The question now at that point was, is he going to come out for the 9th? He does. He goes 1-2-3 in the 9th. The Angels win 3-2. Again, Raisel Iglesias definitely gets the game ball in this situation. I don't know how many times as Angel fans we've seen, a starting pitcher give you a good outing, especially this season, give you a good outing. Bullpen comes in because of one thing or another, ends up blowing it. Now, one of those singles from Mike Myers, it was like a swinging bunt, or it might have actually been a bunt. I don't remember, but he comes off the mound, slips, not able to feel the ball, and that's how the single happened. Now his base is loaded. So not entirely his fault, but still. Mike Meyer, a guy that I feel had been one of the stronger bullpen arms at the end of last season and the beginning of this season, has really, really struggled. And it's going to be interesting to see if he finds his rhythm again, if he finds that sweet spot again that he had at the beginning of this season and at the end of last season. Because for a guy that I was hoping for to be a solid 7th, 8th inning kind of guy, he has absolutely struggled, and it's been one of the reasons this bullpen has struggled in this season. So if he gets right, you can kind of, again, reassure that back end of the bullpen. Iglesias coming in getting 6 outs for a save is great. That's not exactly something you want to depend on every single time, especially with the bases loaded in that situation, but it worked now. He got the save, the 6-out save. Angels again go on to win the game 3-2. Tie the series at that point 1-1. And kind of like I was mentioned earlier about Madden taking Ohtani out, and I believe Madden said something about Ohtani's I don't know, he'd say something, saw him tired or laboring or something like that. And his last inning and his 6th inning, and Ohtani even came out after the game in the press conference through, I'm guessing, the interpreter. Also said Ohtani said his velocity was dipping and there wasn't as much break on his off-speed stuff. So he agreed with Madden's decision to take him out. Said he has to earn pitching the 7th inning, which I believe is just Ohtani backing his manager, because I think Ohtani has earned that right now, and he wants to talk about his velocity being down or his stuff, not moving as much. But if you look at his 6th inning, his last inning of work, he goes strikeout, swinging. So something was right there, something went moving there, and then a ground ball out. So it wasn't like he was getting lit up or even getting hit hard in that last inning for him. So again, it's one of those moves that I think it worked. I don't necessarily think it was going to work. Still don't think it's the best move, the right move. I'll try to judge it, at the time, not after the fact. But Madden Angels got lucky there, because it could have very easily gone sideways if Iglesias makes one mistake over 2 innings. He makes one mistake over 2 innings. This game is completely different. But luckily for the Angel fans, luckily for Joe Madden, that didn't happen. Iglesias kind of saved the game on that one. But I still see it as Ohtani not being able to pitch the 7th was a huge factor, or at least not even trying to get out there to at least start the 7th and see what happens. Because when Watson came in for the 7th inning after Ohtani, he had a clean 1-2-3. So in my mind, I'm thinking, if Ohtani pitches the 7th and gets out of it clean, maybe he gives up a hit here, maybe he gives up a hit there, but gets out of it with no runs, now you can pull him, have Watson in the 8th and Iglesias in the 9th, and you don't have to worry about all this pressure, all this headache, all this bases loaded, no outs situation. You can do it the easy way, but that's not how it happened. It happened the way it happened. Again, Iglesias, huge outing for the Angels on Friday night. Wins that game pretty much single-handedly, holding the Mariners to the bases loaded with no outs. So, riding that little momentum, we go into Saturday night. Alex Cobb is on the mound. Alex Cobb has been pitching fairly well since coming back from his blister issue a few weeks back, probably about a month now. But he's been pitching really, really well. And today, or Saturday, was no different. After the 10 strikeout game from Ohtani the night before, I see a couple things. I heard someone say that this is the first time ever that someone has struck out 10 and the very next day hit a home run. And then I seen someone say this is the first time since like 1890 or 1930, something way back then. So I don't know which one it is. Either way you look at it, it is historical. The way Ohtani pitches, gets 10 strikeouts the night before, and then his very first at bat of the game does this.
And it's not their first matchup. Shohei gets to know his friend again with the home run. Uchimasta, Shohei Ohtani.
And that's a home run off Kikuchi. If you guys don't know the history between the two, they did play high school baseball together in Japan. Kikuchi, I think, is 2 years or 3 years older than Ohtani. So they weren't exactly, the same grade or anything like that, or probably even ran in the same circles. But there is a little bit of a history there. There is a little bit of them knowing each other. But Ohtani getting the Angels up early with that solo shot. Like I mentioned, Alex Cobb took the mound. He would be rolling in the first 3 innings. All of them, for the most part, all ground balls. He got 1 strikeout and 1 flyout in those first 3 innings, but all the rest were ground balls. Seemed to be really, really working well. Quick, decisive, gets the ball, goes. He wasn't sitting around. He wasn't shaking off Stassi. He wasn't doing any of that stuff. It seemed like he was ready to roll as soon as the ball gets into his glove. But in the fourth, he got put in a tough situation, giving off a leadoff walk, which is never a good thing, which has always kind of been the bugaboo for Angels pitchers, is that leadoff walk. But he would end up giving up a soft single. It was barely over his head, but that tied the game up at 1. But then the very next at bat ends up giving up a grand slam, which makes the score now 5-1. And at this point, I think a lot of Angel fans, kind of like when you thought with the Iglesias bases loaded situation, we've seen this story before. We have seen what happens now. Now it's a matter of how bad it's going to be. But Cobb settled down. He gets out of that inning, and in the very next inning, Max Stassi, has been on fire since he's been back from the IL, and he continues that with this.
High fly ball. Kelenic tracking to the warning track, to the wall. Win, baby, win when Stassi does that. Homer for Max.
So again, that's Max Stassi getting a home run now, making it 5-2. It was good to see them get back on the board the very next half inning to kind of start now chipping away at that 4-run deficit that they had against Seattle. It wasn't something that sat there, and now you're in the 8th inning, 9th inning, having to make up 4 runs. It was good to see them start chipping away at that, right away. And that's exactly what Stassi did. In the 5th inning, Fletcher comes up with a base hit and an error, but it also was a real scary moment.
Kikuchi's got him 0-2. Oh, off his leg. Godoy. Oh, and he threw it away. And coming around to score is Ward.
You say still on the ground.
So obviously, with that overthrow, Taylor Ward came around to score to help the Angels get even closer. But a scary moment, obviously, if you've seen the game, and you kind of hear it there if you're listening to the podcast. But a comebacker right off Kikuchi's knee. It looked like it hit him right in the kneecap. Obviously, there's been pictures in the news recently as far as, comebackers. And I believe there was a minor league pitcher for the Rays, I think for Durham Bulls, who got a comebacker hit in the head, and that was a scary moment. So anytime you see a comebacker like that, it always kind of makes you hold your breath, regardless if it's the Angels or the team they're playing. It's always a scary moment. But he got helped off. Kikuchi got helped off. Came out later that night that it was just a bruise, a contusion. But I'm sure they're probably going to run more tests off of it. But it was good to at least see him. You see the one that hit the Durham Bull minor league pitcher, and he was out, and he was, helped off by a stretcher. It was at least good to see Kikuchi walk, get help off and walk off his own power, but at least be coherent and in the moment when he's getting helped off the field. So hopefully he gets better. Hopefully it's nothing too serious. But like I mentioned, Fletcher with that single, and then the air, Taylor Ward comes around to score, and then not the very next batter, but still in the second, a couple batters later, Anthony Rendon knocks in David Fletcher.
Anthony right back through the middle, off the glove of Walton. Here comes Fletch to score. Big chance, big hit. Anthony Rendon.
So Rendon, again, getting opportunities for RBIs and cashing in on those opportunities for RBIs. At that point, the game was 5-4. The Angels are right there. Again, it only took them a couple innings to catch back up, and which is great. You never want to wait until like the 8th inning or wait until the 9th inning to try to make some of these comebacks. The fact that they were able to get these comebacks right away, or get, a run here or a run there right away, definitely helped. I think carry the momentum from, one inning to the other. And now the guys aren't really forced to, struggle or forced to press themselves. So it was 5-4 at that point. The Angels finally take the lead in the 6th inning off of Taylor Ward's 2-run home run.
That one well struck toward that wall in left center field. Ward did it! Mom and Dad looking on. Taylor with a blast. And the Angels all the way back, lead at 6-5.
So again, you heard it there from Sut. 6-5, Angels take the lead, worked all the way back from a 4-run deficit early. But after that grand slam, Alex Cobb would settle down completely. I mean, he was absolutely lights out. I think they said he retired his last 11 batters after that point. He went 7 innings, 3 hits, 5 earned runs. Again, that's all in 1 inning. 1 walk, 6 strikeouts, 98 pitches. So it just seemed like once Cobb, and he even said it in the post game press conference, if you saw the clips of it or even watched it, he was determined to sit there and say, "We're not going to lose this game. Give me the ball. I'm going to keep it right here, and we're not going anywhere." And that's exactly what happened with Cobb. Is fact that he didn't give up anything else after that. He looked completely comfortable on the mound. He had everything, seemed like everything was working, getting the ground balls, getting strikeouts, defense working behind him. Iglesias came up with some good plays in the game, came up with another error late in the game, but the ground ball was working. Jared Walsh this was with Watson, and had a great play at first base to throw back to the pitcher to get an out. I believe in the 8th inning. Absolutely great outing by Cobb, and it's something that, again, the Angels need these kind of secondary pitchers, if you will. Cobb, Canning, I don't know if Heaney's going to consider one of their secondaries, but could be considered. But one of these kind of pitchers to step up and have really good quality games like this. And for the most part, this weekend, obviously you take away the Canning struggles, but if you look at Ohtani, if you look at Cobb, and then if you look at Sandoval on Sunday, 3 really good outings by starting pitchers, 3 really winnable games for the Angels set up by the starting pitchers. And unfortunately, it didn't all work out that way. But on Saturday, the Angels did win 12-5. They added on some late inning RBI doubles and RBI singles by Juan Lagares, Justin Upton, and then like a fielder's choice also by Anthony Rendon later in the game to all put this pretty much in cruise control. Like I mentioned, 12-5 Angels victory. Now they're up 2-1 in the series, looking for the series victory on Sunday. And when we kind of talked about this last week, or not last week, but on the last podcast, Chris and I had the discussion, who would you rather have out on Sunday? Bundy, who has been struggling and might still be dealing with an ankle issue, or Patrick Sandoval, who has had a pretty good outing his last couple times, and is someone that needs to develop and needs to kind of maybe be thrown in the fire a little bit more than he is already been. I think the last outing he was limited to like 83, 84 pitches, and maybe needs to see him be stretched out a little bit more. And that's kind of what happened in this game. But like I mentioned, looking for a series win. Sandoval takes the mound. A leadoff walk in the top of the first will come back around and score. So now they're down 0-1 at the very first inning. Again, not the start you would want, but it didn't take long to get back tied after Justin Upton's solo shot in the first. Again, him in that leadoff spot, for whatever reason, is working. Someone's actually asked me that, I think on the podcast before, or maybe just in the DMs, why do I think it's working? Honestly, I have no idea. Maybe it's just because he's able to jump on pitchers before they get settled in. It always seems that's the issue, is that these pitchers get settled in and they seem to be doing just fine against the Angels. You jump on them early before they get to that point, that's when you can get some runs. And I think that might be part of the reason why Justin Upton has been really performing really well in that leadoff spot, getting, I think he has like 4 home runs in that number 1 spot in the first inning, which coming into the year, who would have thought that your most productive leadoff hitter so far this year would have been Justin Upton? So I'm all for it. Keep him there until he can't, I guess. But it seems like they've had a cycle of players before this with, obviously Fletcher. Then it seemed like Jose Rojas was there for a little bit, and then it seemed like Iglesias was there for a little bit. So maybe they found something with Upton in the leadoff spot, but he has definitely been producing, there, and I think they're going to keep him there for a while. And like I mentioned, that shot gave it a 1-1 tie in the third inning. Seattle would get 2 more runs off of Sandoval, making it 3-1. But after that, Patrick Sandoval would settle down, going 6 innings, 5 hits, 3 earned runs, 1 walk, 10 strikeouts. A really good strikeout performance, and 101 pitches. So stretched out to 101, this being his first career game over 100 pitches. So it's obvious now that he can pitch that far or that many pitches. So hopefully that's something we see more of from him and more developing from Patrick Sandoval. But another great thing from Patrick, and it was all over the telecast and it was all over social media right after. Patrick Sandoval had 32 whiffs. So 32 swings and misses from the Seattle players today, Sunday. And as of right now, that is an MLB best by I think like 3 or 4, right ahead of DeGrom. So his stuff was really working. Unfortunately, he gave up those couple of those runs early in the game. But you look at it, he still held them to 3 runs. He still was able to get 10 strikeouts. He was able to only walk 1, go 6 innings. All things considering, I think Sandoval had a really, really good outing. You were hoping that he would be able to get his second career victory with that outing, and that's not exactly what happened. But going into the 9th, again, it was now 2-4. Angels are in striking distance. This is exactly what you want. 2-4 going to the last inning, and I believe they had the top of the lineup. They had 9, 1, and 2 up in that 9th inning. But unfortunately, the bullpen could not hold it as it blows up again, giving up 5 runs in that 1 inning. And now the lead goes up from, like I mentioned, it was 2-4. Now it's 2-9. And now it makes it even harder for, the Angels to come back in that situation. And Angels crowd favorite, Kenny Middleton, comes in the 9th to try to get the last 3 outs. At this point, I'm thinking as Angel fans around social media, just Angel fans in general, are just hoping not to give Middleton that opportunity to get the last out of that game. And he didn't. He didn't even get 1 out. Angels start a rally, end up scoring 3 in the 9th inning, but still fall short 9-5. Again, if the bullpen does its job and holds them to that 2-run deficit, those 3 runs win the game for the Angels in the 9th. And again, that's Fletcher, that's Upton, Ohtani, Rendon, all doing damage in the front part of that lineup. Obviously, Fletcher's the 9th, but at that time, he was the beginning guy, the leadoff guy in the 9th. But, the bullpen, again, good bullpen, bad bullpen. I don't know exactly how to judge how good this bullpen is when obviously they've had games where they've looked great. They've had games where they've looked lights out. They've had games where they look absolutely terrible and they couldn't get anyone out. And it's all, for the most part, all the same guys, all the same Meyer, Strickland, Watson, Cishek. All these guys are still the same, but for whatever reason, they cannot hold a lead or hold it to a tight window. And exactly what happened today on Sunday, down 2 going to the 9th with a little bit of momentum. You like that. You have the part of the lineup you want coming up, but unfortunately they were not able to hold it. So we're going to go jump on Instagram Live. We're going to take a quick break and then we're going to answer your questions and any questions we've had on Instagram Live. And we are back. Again, we are streaming this live on our Facebook, our YouTube, and our Twitter. And now we are jumping on Instagram Live as well to take questions from anyone watching or following on there. And the same thing with our YouTube people. If you want to write a question, go ahead and put it in the comments. First question on our Instagram says, if Cobbs continues to be consistent, do you offer him a qualifying offer? Which is a very interesting question because of the fact that you look at the rotation and how it's set up right now. The only ones that are likely going to be with the Angels next year are Canning, Sandoval, and Ohtani. So that leaves the 3 other guys who are on 1-year deals or last year of their deals. Katana, which I don't think comes back. I think they tried that unless he comes back from this injury and throws lights out. I think he's done as an Angel at the end of this year. And then the last 2 is Cobb, last 3, Cobb, Heaney, and Bundy. So I don't know. I think honestly the Angels are probably only going to sign one of those 3 guys because you do have some young guys that are going to compete for positions, maybe two. but I can see him signing one of these 3 guys to bring back, plus making an off-season acquisition for pitching. But if Cobb continues to be the best pitcher out of the 3, I don't see why not. Heaney's doing really well. Bundy had a really good last year, and he can always kind of turn it around. But I honestly think, if Cobb is the second guy in those 3, I don't think you give him a qualifying offer just because of the fact that those qualifying offers are pretty expensive. And now the way that baseball has been saving money here and there, I don't think anyone's going to come in above that qualifying offer for a 1-year deal on Cobb, especially because it's a 1-year kind of, we see him do it for 1 year. I don't know if a team's going to come in and up pay that. I think your best bet is probably, if he's killing it still and the Angels are out of it, he might be one of the, I think him and Bundy are 2 guys that if they are progressing and they do well, but the Angels for whatever reason aren't doing well around the trade deadline, I think those are the 2 pitchers that might be gone for sure. Let's see, another question I have on here about playoffs. As the Angels stay in playoff contention, who are some guys we should keep an eye on? If, again, this is a big if the Angels stay in playoff contention when Trout gets back and they're able to make some kind of a run, and that's, we'll have to see what happens now, because like I mentioned earlier, Kansas City comes in for 3. Then they go to Arizona. Arizona is playing horrible. So you have a full week of games that are against teams that you should be able to, maybe drop 1 or 2 against those 2 teams and get on a little mini run. At the beginning of next week, you have Oakland. Oakland's always tough. But the weekend after that, Angel Stadium, full capacity, you have the Detroit Tigers. Again, another team that has been struggling. So out of the next 4 series, the Angels could possibly get on a little bit of a hot streak. And if that happens, then yeah, you're going to have to look at, obviously pitching. Obviously, I think bullpen pitching. Those are the kind of guys you want to look out for if they're going to be in the buyer's market. Definitely. Thoughts on Odell? When will he be ready on? And what's his ceiling? Joe Adell, if you haven't been following AAA baseball right now, he leads AAA baseball in home runs, absolutely killing the ball, absolutely offensively putting numbers up, still striking out, but kind of like I mentioned with Upton earlier, I kind of have a feeling that's going to be his game, all or nothing. But I think he'll hit enough home runs that it will kind of cancel it out to where, he's striking out a ton, but he's hitting 30 home runs in a full season. So you kind of let that go. As far as his ceiling, when he first got drafted and he kind of started coming through the system, a lot of people kind of like, oh, is he the next Mike Trout? Is he going to take over from Mike Trout? Blah, blah, blah. I didn't think that was fair. I don't think that's fair for anyone to compare, anyone in that situation. Do I think he can be like a multi-all-star type of outfielder? Absolutely. Do I think offensively he can play with the big boys? Absolutely. Defensively, he's made some plays. Defensively, he's kind of gaffed at some plays. And that's something you're just hoping that he tightens up. But as far as Joe Adell, I think when he's going to be up, he's going to be ready. I think he learned a lot from that shortened season last year as far as preparation and just, being in the big leagues. Like, I don't know how you not take anything away from that. So I still think July, maybe All-Star break. After All-Star break, I kind of think around there maybe. But, if he keeps on killing the ball like he is in AAA, the Angels are going to make a really, really difficult decision, hopefully soon. But, I don't know if necessarily if they're going to bring him up and put him in center field if Lagares continues to struggle. So the only other options you have for him are the corners. And Upton's not going to go anywhere. And Ward has his moments. Ward hasn't been doing terrible enough to where you feel like you have to pull him right away. Does he have his opportunities where he comes up flat? Yes. Does he have his moments where, like on Saturday, where he hits a 2-run home run to take the lead? Yes. So, I don't think anyone there either is doing such a bad job to where they feel they need to bring him up right away. But I think Joe Adell is going to be a really good addition to the team when he does come up. Let's see. If we stay around 500, can we possibly look to as a pickup? Again, it's going to be pitching, but even then, 500 is going to be asking a lot because I think the Astros, the A's, maybe some of these other teams for the wild card spot are going to be well above 500. You're going to have to be more so, I think, honestly, like around 5-6 games out of that wild card spot or the division, whatever's smaller. We'll see how it goes. Adele is hot right now. I feel like we're gonna call him up when he comes down to earth with the homers, and we need that extra spark right now. Yeah, I mean, sparks are nice. They're just really hard to judge. And let's not forget too, AAA is a whole different beast than Major League Baseball. I don't know how many times we've seen guys in the Angels organization, for that matter, absolutely kill it in AAA, absolutely destroy the ball, whether it's home runs, extra base hits, doubles, whatever. But come to the majors, it's a lot different. Guys don't miss nearly as much as they do in AAA and struggle. So my thing with Joe, I think he's doing great in AAA. I'm not going to take that away from him, but I think you still have to manage expectations when he does get brought up because of the fact you've seen, Rojas. Jose Rojas is a perfect example. You look at his AAA stats for the last 2-3 years, they are unbelievable. You think he should be up on the major league level without a doubt. But it took him forever to get called up. He just got called this year. Now he got sent back down, and he hasn't exactly been setting the world on fire. So for some guys, it clicks from AAA to the major leagues. I don't know about Joe, but I think you need to kind of manage that expectation as far as if that's going to be him when he gets here, hitting all these home runs and doing all that stuff. But definitely an exciting player. Will he bring a spark? Yeah, but I still think some of those quote unquote sparks need to be from the guys in the clubhouse right now. Like I mentioned before, Alex Cobb's post-game interview was awesome. He kind of had that no nonsense. I'm here to do a job. I'm going to get it done, pretty or not. This is what's going to be. And I think some players probably should follow that lead as far as don't think too much. Just go out there and do it. Go out there and what you do well. Just get out there and do it. And I think they can do a lot by just kind of following Alex Cobb's lead on that point. We have to take 5 of 6 in the next 2 series. No, I agree completely. Like I mentioned, they have Kansas City coming into town now, starting tomorrow. And as I pull up the schedule for the Angels, like I mentioned, Arizona has been struggling a lot. Arizona's been struggling quite a bit. And so they need to be able to take advantage of that. Was it a 3-game series? Yeah, it's a 3-game series. So you have 3 games against Kansas City at home. Then you have 3 in the desert against Arizona. Then you go up to Oakland for 3. And then you come home for 4 against Detroit. Again, that Detroit series starts on the 17th of June, and that will be the first weekend of the full capacity Angel Stadium. So it's interesting to see how that's gonna work and how the atmosphere might change. Because if it's a full capacity in that Iglesias 8th inning on Saturday, on Friday, that place is probably rocking still. So it's gonna be cool to see the stadium in full capacity that weekend. We might be making a trip out there. Chris, I, and my wife might be making a trip out there that Saturday, the 19th, to see Detroit and the Angels. We'll keep you posted on that, but it'll be great to see a lot of you guys there. And I'm sure we'll probably do some kind of tailgate, mini tailgate. I don't know if we're going to do a full-on tailgate there because I still don't know if anyone knows what their tailgate policy is going to be once they go full capacity. DM us or email us at allangelspodcast@gmail.com because I'm interested to see when that happens or if they let that happen with the tailgating. Another question on our Instagram: How do you utilize the money freed up from Pujols and Upton's contracts in the future? Where and on who? Well, one of the things is obviously Pujols is going to be free at the end of this year, Upton at the end of 2 years. One of the things that's coming down the line that is going to hit around that time Upton comes off is Ohtani. So Otani has a 2-year contract right now, this year and next year. But the year after that, that third year, is his last year of arbitration, which means, if I do my math right, 2024 is free agent, or he'll be a free agent after the 2023 season. So if Otani is continuing to be this guy that is a front of the line starter, who is a guy who can hit 30 home runs at the DH and play almost every single day, that price tag for a guy like Otani is going to be crazy. So do you want him to spend money on big name free agents? Yeah. Do they have to be the right ones? Yes, because when Otani becomes a free agent at the end of 2022 or 2023, sorry, at the end of 2023, because we're in 21 right now, you're going to have to pay him. I mean, he's possibly the MVP of the AL right now. We'll see how the season plays out, but that's going to be a huge price tag for the Angels if they want to keep him. And with Pujols and Upton both being off the books by then, you could probably sign 1 or 2 top end guys, which is fine. Maybe it's a shortstop this offseason. Maybe it's a starting pitcher this season or next. But that Otani bill is coming, and it's going to come quick. And if those 2 big time, let's just say you get a top end, one of those top end shortstops and the top end pitcher, if those guys don't hit and you're wasting money on those guys, now you're in a situation where you have to spend on Otani. Obviously health plays a lot to it, but he's shown this year so far that he can do both, and he can do both on such a high level. Reed Detmers needs to be watched closely. I see him as a potential 3 starter in the future. Keep up the great work. Truly appreciate everything you guys do. Thank you very much. Yeah, Reed Detmers is absolutely killing it. It's absolutely killing it right now. And AA, the Trash Pandas, I think his last outing, 10 strikeouts, or maybe it was his last 2 outings, 10 strikeouts. Would not be surprised to see him up in AAA soon and have him finish the season in AAA unless there's injuries. Always have to put that caveat out there. But I would not be surprised if maybe he pitches 1 or 2 more in AA and he's called up to AAA. And between him, Chris Rodriguez being a serious contender for some opened pitching spots in the rotation next year. Reed Detmers could be a potential 3 next year easily. You're looking at Otani. Let's just say they re-sign Heaney. Let's just say they get a front-end pitcher kind of guy. He can be a 3. He can be a 4. But I think Reed Detmers is definitely someone you need to look out for in the future. And he's doing great. Again, for his first season as a professional, he's done great. Really look forward to seeing him in AAA in ballparks that are not pitcher friendly. You have a lot of higher elevations. You cannot make mistakes. But I'm really looking forward to seeing him and how he does in AAA. Do you think Braxton Martinez is going to be somebody the Angels should be looking forward to? He's had a back-to-back. He had a back-to-back game with 2 home runs and has been driving in runs. Like I said, like with any kind of prospect, it is kind of hard to judge. Let me look this up because Braxton Martinez kind of sounds familiar, but I'm not 100% sure what level he's at right now. That's what I'm trying to figure out. But anytime he's at low A, Inland Empire, third baseman, 27 years old. He's kind of a little bit older in the process to be at low A. But I mean, look forward to as what though, like a guy that works through the system and maybe is a spot guy now and then. Yeah, but you have Anthony Rendon playing third. You're set there. The fact that he's hit, back-to-back games with 2 home runs is great. I'm looking at his numbers right now. Yeah, he has 5 home runs, 15 RBIs, batting just below 300. The OPS above 1,000. So yeah, he's having a really, really good year. Not taking that away from him at all, but it's just one of those things where, he's 28 years old. or 27 years old. Sorry, and he's a little bit older than a lot of the guys at that level. So it's going to be a long road for him to get there. I mean, you're looking at guys like Jared Walsh. He's like 27, 28, but at least he's in the majors right now. This guy's at the low A, which is the lowest level of the minor league system right now. So it's going to be kind of hard for him to get there. Chris Rodriguez needs to be in the rotation when he gets his stamina back. I think his stamina is back, but I think they're going to stretch him out even longer. Again, Chris Rodriguez has been super limited in innings pitched career-wise, that this season they're going to stretch him out to 2 or 3 innings. I don't see him getting a starting rotation job this year, but next year he'll definitely be in the mix. Angels will be heavy in the starting pitching market this offseason. I think they will be too. I'm just not sure who they will go after, because there's some names there starting pitching wise, but they're all old and they're all kind of on the downslope. And you have to really think about what they are asking for and if it makes sense to invest that kind of money in a guy that might give you 1 or 2 good years, maybe 2 good years. But if it's like a 3 or 4 year contract, do you pass on that? So it's great to be in the market for starting pitching, but as we are seeing now between Major League Baseball and all the teams, every team is in the market for starting pitching. So it's just not going to be the Angels, and that's where it gets complicated. It seems we are always talking about next year. This is an old story. Well, I mean, that's what we do, is guess let's talk about next year. We talked about this year right now. Obviously they're not exactly where they want to be or where they're looking to be in the standings right now, because as I look at the standings right now, the Angels are 7 games out of the first place Oakland A's, again with a negative 42 run differential, 2 games back of Seattle for that 3rd spot. And if you go to the wild card, it's not much better. There are 6 games out of the last wild card spot. So, ideally it would be awesome if they kind of kept it there until Trout gets back and maybe get on a roll. Or like I mentioned, this next couple series, 3 against Kansas City, 3 against Arizona. If they're able to get 5 out of those 6, and they can jump up in those standings quite a bit. So we'll see how it plays out. And granted, yes, it does seem like the same old story, but part of baseball, and I think it's different than a lot of sports, is that you can actually look forward to the future a little bit more. You can look at the future and kind of see what's going to happen. You look at other sports, basketball, football, you don't know who you're going to draft in the draft. You don't know what kind of players you're going to get out of college. You don't. But at least in baseball, you can at least see that guy develop in AAA. You can at least see that guy develop in AA. So it makes talking about the future a little bit easier than other sports. So if you are, like myself, a baseball and a football fan, football, you very rarely talk about the future because you don't know what's going to happen in the future. You don't know who you're going to have in the future on your team. In baseball, there's a very good chance a handful of players that are going to come up through the system in the next 2 or 3 years that are going to be part of this team, or are going to be trade pieces for this team. So with baseball, yeah, it is kind of seems like we're always kind of talking and looking to the future, but I think baseball is truly the only sport where you can really do that and look forward to the future and look at things ahead of you with guys in the minor leagues. And I think that's why it's always fun to go out and watch Inland Empire and go out and watch the Salt Lake Bees or the Trash Pandas, or the Dust Devils, a new high A affiliate up in the Washington area. So again, if you're in any of those kind of markets, go out and watch some of these minor league baseball and see these guys develop. And that kind of gets you excited to talk about the next season. At least it does for me. The 66ers are coming back into town, I believe, this week. I'll probably be out to try to make it out to 1 or 2 games this week and see how that goes. Again, we'll be posting stuff on Halo Haven, Halo_Haven on the Twitter, on Instagram, when we're going to be at games and when we're going to do the podcast. But our next podcast is scheduled to drop on Thursday, record Thursday night. Talk to Chris. I think we should be able to work it out. We'll be back at Halo Haven. Hopefully with good news, hopefully with a sweep, hopefully with 2 out of 3. That would be great. Really interested to see Chris Rodriguez get back into a game. Has not been in a game yet since being activated. Maybe we see it this series and can see how he's doing coming off that shoulder injury. And hopefully he is healthy, because like I said, he's going to be a huge part of the bullpen. And it sucked that you weren't able to see him at all on Sunday. I think he would have helped out a lot, but because Joe got him up Saturday and he pitched quite a bit to get warm on Saturday, he did not want to use him on Sunday. Coming from an injury, I guess that makes sense. but you just hope that's not the standard all year long, because if you're going to get them up and get them hot, and if you're not going to use them the next day because of that, you might as well put them in that game. You might as well put them in on Saturday. The game was out of hand, granted, but if you know in the back of your head you're not going to use them for Sunday, why waste them? And I feel like that's kind of what happened right there with Joe on Saturdays, that he wasted Chris Rodriguez. It would have been great to see him out there, but because he was up for too long or pitched too many pitches or whatever the case may be, he did not use him on Sunday. And honestly, you look at it, the Angels could have used him on Sunday. Could have used them in that ninth inning to hold the game to 2 runs, and maybe we're talking about a 3 out of 4 game series, or a 3 out of 4 series win against Seattle. But that's not how it worked out. Again, I'm not the biggest Madden fan, but well, that's kind of what the Angels have right now, and they got to roll with it. So it'll be interesting to see how that goes going forward. But that's going to be it for this edition of the All Angels podcast. Again, we will be back Thursday night, I believe, at Halo Haven. If not, I will be here. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, ideas, please email us at allangelspodcast@gmail.com. Again, that's allangelspodcast@gmail.com. And then follow us on our social media. Halo_Haven is both on our Twitter and our Instagram. Really appreciate it. All the love we get from you guys, all the conversations we've had with some of you guys in the direct messages. So ever have anything to say, go ahead and message us, and always like talking about Angels baseball. But yeah, so definitely follow us, Halo_Haven on Twitter and on Instagram, and allangelspodcast@gmail.com. Any question, any comment, anytime, that's the place to reach us. And that's pretty much a guarantee we'll get it on the podcast that way. Because sometimes, honestly, with direct messages and stuff like that, if 2 or 3 or 4 come in at a time, it kind of does get lost in the shuffle. But to guarantee, I guess a comment or a question on the podcast, definitely email us at allangelspodcast@gmail.com. All this stuff can be found on our bio link in our Twitter and our Instagram. So if you have any questions about how to subscribe to our YouTube, our Twitter, or any of that stuff, that's the place you go. Go to our bio link and our Twitter, and they'll show you all the link for everything else, or just anything else that you guys would be interested in doing. But that's going to wrap it up for this edition of the All Angels podcast. I am Dan Garcia. We'll see you Thursday night.